Hello, welcome to week 2. Moving right along here in the semester. This week we're going to focus on the literary device known as setting, the time, place, or mood of a story. And so by the end of this week's unit, you're going to be able to identify strategies that can be used to strengthen your active reading abilities, demonstrate critical thinking skills when responding to class discussions, interpret the literary device of setting within a piece of literature, analyze how setting affects a story, and create a literary response. And these activities, basically, you will have 2 assignments this week as normal. You will have a discussion board that I'll talk about briefly here in a second, and you will have your second essay, your second brief essay, a literary response. In terms of the readings for this week, you have several pieces of literature to read. You have a short story by Ray Bradbury, All Summer in a Day. You have a poem by Walt Whitman, I Hear America Singing, and another one by Langston Hughes, I Too Hear America Singing. These are kind of work well together as a pair. As you read those, you'll see that Hughes is actually a response to Whitman's, and then Gareth Onge's Money, the Least of His Worries, which is an African short story, which is pretty interesting as well. Before you get into either of those, I know they're sort of arranged here as topic 1 and topic 2. I would really recommend doing sort of the supplemental work before you get into that. For starters, our Unit 2 discussion board involves something known as self-plagiarism. And so I would like you to read all of these resources listed here, how to avoid plagiarism, and then the Purdue OWL online writing labs, how to quote and how to perform in-text citations. So for your Unit 2 discussion board, by Wednesday night, you're going to have an initial post that asks you to consider this scenario. You work as an editor publishing creative nonfiction essays at a popular publication such as The New Yorker or the aptly titled Creative Nonfiction Journal. You accept the work of a new writer for publication. You publish that writer's essay only to find out that it has already been published by another publication. The writer did not reveal it was being published by someone else. In one paragraph, you want to answer these questions. As an editor for the journal, what actions would you take for the journal? Would you sue the writer for fraud? Do you think this situation will impact the writer's career? In what way does this situation pertain to self-plagiarism in the classroom? You want to finish your response by asking your peers a question about the scenario that they can answer in their peer responses. So you're going to put yourself in the shoes of someone accepting work that has been self-plagiarized. Now, self-plagiarism is, as you'll read, and I'll briefly say something about it here, is a little different than regular plagiarism. Plagiarism is when you just take the ideas from a published source or another student from another class and copy them and present them as your own. Okay, the ideas are the direct words and put them in there, which is not good, and obviously is a capital offense here as well. Self-plagiarism is a little different, and I think people sometimes are confused by why it's a problem. Self-plagiarism is when you use work that you previously submitted somewhere, and in this case, you're being asked to pretend that you're in the role of someone accepting work for publication that's already been published by that author already. So they've submitted it twice without your knowing. For our cases, you see, let's say this is the second time you've taken this class and you did the first assignment the first time around and you just use that exact same assignment again the second go around. That's not acceptable in this case, right? It's not acceptable to reuse the same work that you used before because you're basically missing out on a learning opportunity, right? Each experience, even if it's more or less doing the same thing, gives you an opportunity to grow your skill set as a writer and as a creative thinker. So that's the first thing. Again, you're going to respond to this prompt and then by Wednesday night. And then by Sunday, you will respond to 2 of your peers, which in the first unit, I really got to know a lot of you very well, and you did a great job responding to your peers as well. But the response that you're going to give to two of your peers would be, do you agree with your peers' arguments regarding this scenario? How is your understanding of the ramifications of self-plagiarism the same or different from theirs? Okay. And then for the longer essay this week, you are going to do a setting unit literary response. And if you click on this PDF button, it'll open up the full description of what you're asked to do. So your goal here is you're going to learn how to interpret the literary device's setting and how it affects the story, right? So you're going to choose one of the stories or poems from unit 1 or 2. So you can choose something you read in unit 1, or you can choose something you will read in unit 2. And you'll craft a 2-page essay with this prompt. How does the setting affect the reader's impression of the overall story or poem? Each piece has a unique setting. A setting is in some ways a character all its own, and it plays a role in how you feel about the work, right? So I'll just preview, for instance, the Ray Bradbury story is set on the planet Venus, and setting is extraordinarily important to the outcome of that story. And so one sort of good nugget that I like to think about when I'm thinking about setting and thinking about analyzing setting is, how would this story or poem be different if it were set in a different place or a different time? And if you think about how it would be different, then you can sort of highlight the importance of the existing setting. You can understand why it matters that the author chose that setting for this piece, okay? There are specific instructions here on sort of how to proceed through this. You want to just select, you're only going to write about one of the stories or poems. It's a short paper, so you wouldn't have much time to use more than that. You're going to use text examples to support your answer. That is, you're going to use quotes from the text that seem to support what you're saying about the setting. It needs to be at least 2 pages. You need a title page and a reference page. Again, if you need help with those references, I would recommend 2 things. One, first, there's a whole section in Unit 1 on APA formatting. Check that out. Use that template to help cite your sources correctly and to create a working title page. And you can always ask me too. You can always send me an email if you need some help with that as well. All right. So that's essentially it for Unit 2. Again, this assignment is due by Sunday night. And your Unit 2 discussion board, the initial post on self-plagiarism, you're going to respond to the scenario, is due by Wednesday, with the peer replies on Sunday. So that's it for this week. I hope that you have a great rest of your weekend, and I hope that you have a great week. So take care, and we'll see you next week.